Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Friday morning. It's Stephen Whiteside here from the uptrend.com. In the pre-market this morning, we've got a small pullback. We had something similar to this yesterday, and the market was able to turn around during the daytime and move sharply higher. This isn't a strong indication of how Friday is going to turn out. We don't have any major economic numbers out this morning, so nothing to really impede us from now to the market open. We've got a couple of stocks in the news this morning. Apple's down slightly, while Google or Alphabet is trading nicely higher. It is up nearly 5%, trading just under 170 at the moment. Now, a lot of charts that we're looking at right now have put in a higher low, and so that could turn out to be bullish going forward. Now we're going to see if we can take out some recent highs. Google is trading up near 170 at the moment, so it hasn't taken out the high from March just yet. We'll have to see if that happens, but that would certainly be a bullish sign to put in a higher low and then a higher high. That has not happened just yet. Looking at the week so far, I like to run off some weekly charts just to see where we are compared to the previous week. The Dow's up nearly 2.5%, has not taken out the previous week's high. There's the S&P 500 trading right up to the previous, not the previous week's high, but the week before that. Now, last week was an inside week for the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq 100. So last week's range was traded within the previous week's range, and so that's the range that we're looking at. And yesterday we traded right up to the top of that range, so looking to see if we can break out above it. That's also true for the Nasdaq 100. Now, the U.S. market's been on a very short-term rally this week. It's been up a couple of days in a row, while the TSX has been up, I think, 8 of the last 9 days. And so it did not have an inside week last week and performed very well. And here we are again, up over 2% on the week. And there's certainly a mathematical possibility that we could see a weekly buy signal next week. Unfortunately, the price of gold may pull back if the U.S. market continues to move higher from here. Now, we are coming up to month end. Month end usually has a bullish bias to it, so I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some buying going into month end. But gold is up $20 this week. It is down in the pre-market this morning. Now, crude oil isn't really helping this week, but we're down nearly 2% on the week, so not expecting a change in trend for crude oil. But we have made some higher lows over the last couple of weeks, and so the market could want to build on that over time. They're not doing that on Friday morning. Looking at the VIX is on a sell signal right now. The VIX ETFs finally generated sell signals as of Thursday's close, and hopefully you took some money off the table, as I suggested, as the VIX was moving sharply higher. The VIX doesn't usually stay up that long when it does move up sharply. It does take a while sometimes for it to come back and trend lower. But when it spikes, it doesn't usually hold those highs for very long. Now, Wednesday was a bearish reversal day. On Thursday, we were looking to see if we could take out Wednesday's high. We didn't do that for the Dow. The Dow is back on a buy signal as of Thursday's close. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq certainly traded up and closed just above Wednesday's high. Now, there is the S&P 500 ETF trading up to resistance. Notice we have an open gap over here, so the market might want to go up and fill that. Otherwise, there's your next two targets to the upside if we can break through that open gap. Now, there's also overhead resistance from the moving averages and, of course, the flypaper channel. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see the markets put in lower highs here and then start to go back down. But of course, I'm just imagining that at the moment. That hasn't happened just yet. There's the NASDAQ 100 closing above Wednesday's high. So, any bearish reversal signal from Wednesday has been nullified. But again, we're trading up to resistance. And you can see our next target is 500. And back in March, we failed on an attempt to get back up to the $500 level. So we'll have to see if we can get through the 468.75 level first. And then, of course, you've got your moving average resistance and the flypaper channel as resistance. So, the market could certainly punch through all of the overhead resistance. That is true. Unfortunately, this year it's highly unlikely to do that, but I have been wrong before. There's the iShares for the TSX 60. We hit 3750 the other day, and so here we are, still stuck at 3750, closing above it slightly. 3828 is the next target to the upside for the iShares for the TSX 60, and we're stuck on the moving averages right now, but we could certainly break away from them and head back up to the March high, and that would take us up to the top of the flypaper channel, and yeah, we could certainly do that, but we're just waiting to see if that will happen. Now, we've been talking about Dow 30 stocks for the last couple of days. 10 of the Dow 30 stocks actually generated buy signals based on Thursday's trading action, and 2 rolled over and generated sell signals. Now, there's Amazon back on a buy signal, new buy signal for Caterpillar, for Salesforce, for Walt Disney. We've got the Dow back on a buy signal. We've got a buy signal for Home Depot, for Honeywell, for Microsoft, for NVIDIA. Very light buy signal there for NVIDIA. And we've got Visa back on a buy signal. Again, very light buy signal for Visa as well. What didn't work? Well, we knew that IBM was going to roll over in the pre-market yesterday. So even though it had a good day on Wednesday, we knew that there was not going to be any fall through to the upside on Wednesday. And so if you were sitting waiting to take that buy signal from Wednesday's close, you didn't do it at the, based on what we were seeing in the pre-market on Thursday morning. And then Procter & Gamble rolled over yesterday, trading right down to the lows from a couple of weeks ago. Let's move on, take a look at the U.S. most actives from Thursday's trading action. Starting off with NVIDIA with that very light buy signal. Compare that to Intel, which has been up the last couple of days on a buy signal. No change in trend for Palantir. We're trying to get to 112.50. Then we've got Tesla back on a buy signal, but really not going anywhere. We're still pretty close to the middle of the range and looking to see if we can break out above 281.25. So really a muted buy signal for Tesla. Then we've got Ford still on a buy signal here, no change in trend. And no, that's not IBM. That was Nokia. And if you were long Nokia, you had a chance to lock in some profits at 527, 50% of your position. And then unfortunately, you're going to have to sell at the open on Friday morning. Looking at American Airlines, no joy, still on a sell signal. There's SoFi still on a buy signal, no change there. No joy for Lucid coming into Friday's trading action. And then it looks like B2 Gold. They want to get out of B2 Gold, but they would need a close on Friday below $3.12. Then we've got NU making a new high for this move, trying to take out the high from back in March. There's a nice up move for NEO, filling the gap from back in March, and we're trying to get to 430. That is our next price target for NEO. And then Supermicro back on a buy signal as of Thursday's close. Let's finish off this morning's presentation taking a look at the TSX most actives from Thursday's trading action. Looks like the TD Bank had an inside day on Thursday. There's a new high for this move for Enbridge coming up to the high from a couple of weeks ago. If we can take out that high, then 65.63 is up to the top of our projected trading range, and that's where we were trading back in January. Now, a lot of charts are going to look pretty similar. They're struggling to generate buy signals. They've got a nice open gap here, and so you're going to see that quite a bit in the Canadian market. There's Whitecap struggling at the moment. And then you've got Suncor, again, got a nice open gap over there to the left. Then looking at the Royal Bank. Bank had a nice day on Wednesday, but couldn't hold the gains going into the close. And on Thursday, we closed slightly lower. So we're trying to get to the highs from back in March. Again, there's another stock, Canadian Natural Resources, dealing with that open gap. There's another stock, Bank of Montreal, dealing with that open gap. Now, First Quantum blew through 2 gaps, which are now closed. So a couple of nice big up days for First Quantum. Then Manulife, inside day yesterday, dealing with that open gap. There's a new high for this move for Calibre, trading back up to the previous highs, and we're looking for a move up to 352 if we can break away from 332. Then we've got TC Energy still on a buy signal, no change. No change for Cenovus. Again, we got a nice open gap there that the market is dealing with. Canopy Growth was up over 20% on Thursday, so congratulations, anyone long Canopy Growth. And there's the Bank of Nova Scotia. Still on a buy signal here, no change in trend. And then last up, we've got B2 Gold. And unlike the US listing, we closed just below the lower channel line. So if you don't want to get out of B2 Gold, you can wait for the next close below the lower channel line. Otherwise, there's the sell signal you've been waiting for. Okay, folks, that's all for this morning's presentation. Just looking over my shoulder, I see the futures are still down where they were when I started the presentation. So we may see a little bit of selling at the open on Friday morning, but certainly not enough to change the market's direction or tone. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Next time you'll hear my voice, if you're a member, is on Sunday. Otherwise, I'll be back on Monday morning to look at what happened on Friday.
Thanks for tuning in until the very end of today's stock market timing educational video. If you found the content valuable, don't forget to express your support by hitting the like button, leave a comment, sharing with your friends, and subscribing to our channel for more insightful updates. Remember, in the world of stocks, timing is crucial, and following the trend can be your greatest ally. If you would like more information on how we can help you better time the stock market, please visit theuptrend.com.